FIFA 2006 is the first FIFA game to mark the new generation, and differences are big from the old generation PlayStation 2. The players look more detailed, actually everything looks way better than on the PS2. FIFA 2006 brings us improvements from the past games, a better manager mode, better controls like pace control and more comfy mapped buttons than in past consoles, more teams than in the previous games, and a new party mode, which is multiplayer. The AI is improved, the physics are improved. FIFA 2006 is a good start for the new generation consoles. But the game modes are scarce. You get a quick match and a road to World Cup, where you can qualify for the cup. That's about it, as game modes are concerned. 2006 FIFA World Cup brings everything that a good World Cup game needs, and has extra stuff to make it an ultimate experience. Not only that it has the national teams you see play in the World Cup, but you get the teams from the classic FIFA 2. You get a huge load of stadiums, and you have a full cup, not just qualification, but you get to play the cup till the end. It's a great game. Also, another nice touch, I always appreciate it, is the Global Challenge mode, where the game recreates historic moments from football history, and you get to play them and relive the history by your own interaction. In rest, improvements in gameplay came. Well, improvements. The game got more arcadey, so if you like more arcade games, it's a nice change. If you like more realistic games, it's not that great of a change. But for me, I found the game great. FIFA 2007 brings us new improvements, better ball physics, which not only means that the gameplay is more appealing to the eye, but with enough skill you can pull off better maneuvers. Also, teams from the lower leagues were dropped off, because most of the development energy was focused on getting the mechanics and main teams as good as they possibly can make them in a game. So fans that like less popular teams, might not find their favorite team in the teams list from this game. But as for game modes and the rest of the gameplay, you get the usual. So FIFA 2007 brings us improvements, the better physics, and the game looks better than the previous ones. But they dropped content as a sacrifice for that. If they cut out teams in FIFA 2007 to get the gameplay elements right, in FIFA 2008 they took the gameplay from the previous one and added content to it. They added a huge amount of teams. Also, the Premier League is better now with Championship and Leagues 1 and 2. And there is also a new mode, the Be a Pro mode, where you make yourself a character and become a pro from a nobody. In this mode, the camera angle is behind your player's back, and the mode was a nice idea. It's fun. FIFA Street 3 is a basic FIFA Street game if you know the franchise. It takes your matches to the streets, you get to set the rules before a match, and get to play in different environments. The flashy moves add style to the game, and the gameplay is nice too. Too bad that it's a pretty stale game. All you do is just play matches, one after another, and the experience gets very repetitive. Too repetitive so that it gets boring quite fast. I know that in the classic formula of FIFA you play matches over and over again too, but there is at least a decent amount of variety to spice things up in the classic FIFA game. But here, it's not the same thing. Here you really feel that the game gets very repetitive. So gameplay wise, it's a great game. Too bad that it doesn't pump enough variety to get the awesome gameplay to good use. FIFA 2009, even if it doesn't really bring something new, it's a better game than the previous iteration. What I mean by that is, even if it brings the minimum you can change from year to year, the teams and the cover art, the experience feels more full. They added little details, and that attention to details makes the game feel like a better one, even if in its core it's the exact same game from the previous year, with the same game modes and same stuff, but with little details added. FIFA 2010 brings one of the biggest game changers in the franchise, the 360 player movement. Now you don't control players in an orthogonal fashion, but you get to use the joystick at its full potential, being able to bend the trajectory in which players run big time. Also, the physics have been further improved, into such extent that you can now see improvements pretty easy. Also, there is a new mode in the game, the Virtual Pro Game mode, which is similar to Be a Pro, but it's better as it gives you more control. In Rest, you get everything that came good with the previous installments. But the 360-degree player movement is really a game changer. FIFA 11 brings us improvements the Personality Plus feature, which means that players, and here I mean especially the more popular ones, get influenced by the surroundings. Players are going to display authentic emotions on the field. In Rest, the dribbling system is better now, and so is the passing system. And another interesting feature is that now you can create your own players, and even anthems, by recording stuff or by inserting music files. And this stuff can get to be very fun. In Rest, there is a new mode, the Be a Goalie mode, where you guess what you do. That's right, you transform into the Hulk. In Rest, it's the same awesome experience from last year. What I liked about FIFA 12 is that if you're a beginner, the game gets you into a quick tutorial. It forces you to participate in a quick tutorial before starting the game, which other games don't. I appreciated that. In Rest, FIFA 12 brings improvements in gameplay. The collision is better, which makes the gameplay feel better. Also, the career mode and manager mode feels better. And in Rest, it's the same awesome experience you usually get in a FIFA game. Don't get fooled by the name FIFA Street. It's not homeless football after the players have been kicked out of the stadiums and now play on the streets to relive lost memories of times when they were successful. No, FIFA Street is actually an awesome game. It takes you out of the big stadiums and throws you on the streets, just like life. In FIFA Street, you get to do a lot of flashy dribbles in colorful environments, and depending on the game mode you play, there are no outs or corners, just the gates and your skills. As for game modes, you get a 5 vs 5 match, a 2-on-2 match, a last man standing, where if you score a goal, the player that scored gets out, and a futsal mode. All in all, FIFA Street is a great experience. And personally, FIFA Street gets me more than the classic experience. I like this game way more than the classic one. FIFA 13 was changed in the gameplay department, meaning that now physics feel better, and for some reasons players are more human now. More human meaning that they are more prone to make mistakes, like lose ball possession, or be less skilled if you can't control the player right. So it's a tougher game, as it tries to be more realistic. It's still a good experience, and a slightly different one from last year's. But it still remains FIFA, so it's as solid as usual. In FIFA 14, they slightly improved the game again. The AI is better, the physics are better, and that's about it as improvements. They are subtle, but at least it's not a copy-paste from last year, or not an exact copy-paste. 2014 FIFA World Cup takes the classic FIFA mechanics and puts it into a flashy World Cup presentation. The core gameplay is still almost untouched. I say almost because there are slight tweaks that don't change the game, but, well, they still exist, so I have to mention them. Anyway, aside the solid gameplay FIFA Games offer, the presentation is really great in this game. There is a lot happening on screen, especially before a match. The confetti-filled stadiums look amazing, and so are the menus and everything in the game. It's a great festive football game that deserves to be part of your collection. FIFA 15 feels like a copy-paste version. And from this point, the FIFA games on the console get the same fate as they did on the PlayStation 2. Meaning that once the newer generation consoles came out, all the energy of improving the game is put into the newer models. So into the PS4 and into the Xbox One. And the Xbox 360 and PS3 get titles only because there is still demand for them, not because they try to make the game better. It's the same story for FIFA 15. In FIFA 16, female players have been introduced to the game. In Rust, it's the same experience. There are slight improvements, but they are so tiny that you barely notice them. It's still a tremendous experience, considering that it has all the improvements from the previous games and the female teams. It's quite a game you can get. Even if gameplay-wise FIFA 17 is not that different from the previous game, it still brings cool stuff on the aging console. It takes the improvements from the previous one and adds more content to it. Now the number of teams is even bigger. Also you get more stadiums, new game modes like a challenge mode and other ones that feel the same, but at least on the menu they appear as different. The physics have been tweaked again, making it one of the most beautiful FIFA games on the console, and it is full of content. So this one is the one I recommend you play out of the classic FIFA versions. It's my favorite, my personal favorite. So I'm not objectively speaking that this one is the best, it's just my personal preference. It's the one closer to my heart. In FIFA 18 you can see that the console is aging, but they still do games for the console because there is still demand. Well, this time in FIFA 18 you can clearly see that the Xbox is outdated. You can play the journey game mode, as there is no such mode in this game. And also, while the PS4 and Xbox One use the new Frostbite engine, this one doesn't. It's the same old game engine. It's actually the old game with updated themes and slight, unnoticeable improvements. And now, FIFA 19. The most groundbreaking game of them all. They finally listened to my letters, so they added exhibitionists and the ability to turn into a Super Saiyan on the field for the ultimate matches. No, actually FIFA 19 is a copy-paste version of the previous one, with updated themes and cover art. They made the game only because there is still demand for it. But there are almost no improvements. And that's it. That's the video. These were all FIFA games released for this console. Hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe, and if you want, follow me on Twitch, Instagram or Discord. I'll leave the links to those in the video description. Also, if you want to see another video of mine, just wait till I stop talking and I will review thumbnails of other videos I've made. Thanks for watching,